Wow, what a great start. Welcome along, Rhonda. Wasn't that great?
That was a very appropriate song, I thought, Bill, because I could feel the rainbow connection between Queensland and Victoria, and it's wonderful to be in touch with all my friends down there at Unity of Melbourne, and there's probably a few that I haven't met, so nice to meet you, even if it's along the rainbow. So I thought this morning we'd talk about spiritual guidance. It's not something we talk about very often in Unity, and I think perhaps it's because of that fear that it might sound like we're talking about, you know, God out there somewhere telling us what to do. And that's really not what spiritual guidance is at all. And if we think about our first two Unity principles, that, you know, spirit is omnipresent, everywhere present, so therefore present within us, we know that there's only oneness. We're tapping into divine intelligence everywhere present, but it's coming through our spiritual self, our own higher self. And so hence the term spiritual guidance. So last Sunday at Unity of Brisbane, we decided we'd use spiritual guidance as our topic for our discussion session, as a reminder to us all to turn within and ask for guidance in big decisions and in everyday choices. And we had a lovely time sharing different people's experiences of guidance. So I thought today I would just share a little of my journey from totally having no idea about intuition to pretty much living on my intuition hour by hour, day by day now. I realized that when I was very young, I did have a strong intuition. In those days, we kind of called it a gut feeling, but you know, it wasn't something that we had permission to take any notice of. And I can think back on my marriage years and the mistakes that we made, or the better choices we could have made, and remember how my gut feeling was, let's not do that. But I didn't know that it was okay to speak up on that and say, you know, let's have another look at this. So I just went along with what my husband wanted, which I think was what most wives did back then. So it was only when I came into Unity that I learnt that that gut feeling is part of our spiritual nature, and that our intuition is an expression of that, and that following our intuition leads to success and joy. And one of the things I found out very early in the piece was that ignoring it leads to useless, unnecessary suffering. I learned that meditation is the key to learning to listen to our intuition. And I was lucky enough to find Unity in a rural ocean, close to the ocean city called Bundaberg, where there was a very dedicated group of Unity people who were running a study group, as it was called in those days, up there. And quite a few of them, especially the leaders, were business people in the town. And I had a business right on the main street. I had a music business, surprise, surprise. And they gathered together before the shops opened 5 mornings a week for a meditation session. So I'm afraid I started dropping my husband off to do the vacuum cleaning and what have you at the shop. And I went and meditated with these, you know, experienced meditators who then who shared their stories of, you know, what happened in the meditation. And all I knew was, I want what they're having. And I was determined I was going to take time to meditate every day until I learnt to tap into that guidance and to know that oneness that they were experiencing. And I guess Spirit was kind of having trouble getting through to me So just purely because of my faithfulness in 7 days a week, 7 mornings a week meditation, I did start to get guidance, strangely enough, like a voice that spoke to me, but not through my ears. It's the only way I can explain it. And I didn't like some of that early guidance I got. It was really telling me things I didn't want to know. However, I was determined to follow it, to journal on it when necessary, and I found it started to make a real difference in my life. Not only that, I then started to find that I was having these, what I call thoughts that I didn't think myself, that the guidance was actually coming to me. Well, let's face it, it had probably been coming to me all along, but I hadn't been aware of it. I hadn't been listening. So as I trained myself to be more open and receptive to it, I found that I could tap into guidance on big decisions and on small everyday choices. And the very first study that I did with Unity was of a Charles Fillmore book called Christian Healing. Incidentally, it's one of only 3 books that he actually wrote as books. The rest of them are just compilations of his lectures. And this particular little passage in the chapter on being's perfect idea just really hit me and made me, come back and think about it. I'm going to read it to you. God mind is living, acting thoughts. God mind is thinking in you. It is pushing your mind to grasp true ideas and carry them into expression. Well, I thought, wow, God mind is actually caring enough about me to be thinking through me that I can tune in to those God thoughts. It was a bit hard to grasp at the time. I'll read it again. God mind is living, acting thoughts. God mind is thinking in you. It is pushing your mind to grasp true ideas and carry them into expression. Now, I got a bit of a hint on how one can do that at the end of that chapter, because Fillmore put affirmation statements at the end of each chapter. And this affirmation just really, really hit home for me. I am the Lord of my mind and the ruler of all its thought people. And I thought, what does he mean, thought people? And so I started to give a bit of thought to, if I've got thought people in my mind, who are they and what are they telling me? And the idea that I could actually replace them with thought people of my own choosing was just amazing. So for instance, you know how annoying it is when you get, say, an advertising jingle or a negative song running in your mind and you can't get rid of it? Well, being musical, I always have something running in my mind in the way of music. And so I decided I would have my own DJ that was the first thought person that I invented for my mind. So I trained this thought person, this DJ, to choose uplifting, positive songs to run in my mind. And so whenever I'd become aware that, I had something dirgy running, I would simply say, change the record. And without me even having to think about what I wanted to play, there would be something bright and uplifting. And after a while, I found I didn't actually have to say change the record or even think about the DJ, because it just became part of the way my mind worked. Another person that I invented for my mind was a nutritionist in a white coat. And she was there to guide me about what was good for me to eat and to warn me if I was about to eat something that really was not the right food for me. And so I loved having that inner guidance about the best foods for my particular body. Who else did I invent? I had a financial advisor because, as I said before, I had my own business, and boy, that made a difference to my creditors ledger. And I had a business whiz to, help me to make decisions in my business. Anyway, you get the idea, and I'm just going to read that affirmation again. I am the Lord of my mind and the ruler of all its thought people. So I found that guidance could help with major decisions, which inevitably then turned out to be for the good of all concerned in that particular situation. And for major decisions particularly, I still think it's good to take time in the meditation to just simply ask for that guidance. Otherwise, in everyday life, I just turn within on the spot. Guidance in just about anything or everything. It's living under guidance. Now, of course, there's lots of ways that people get guidance, and I bet your minds are running on different ways that you've had guidance. Somebody's made the comment that of just the thing you needed to know. You found it in a book. Maybe the book fell off the shelf and fell open at a particular page, and there was just what you wanted to know. Or maybe you're a daily word opener, just opening it at random to get the right message, or likewise the Bible. But yeah. Sometimes we just happen to hear something on, the radio or the TV, or see it on social media. My only suggestion about that is always test outside information. Turn within and just simply ask, is this right? And guidance comes to us sometimes when we're doing something mindless, like long drives. Oh, you don't have very far to drive in Victoria, do you? I remember that. I remember setting out from Unity one day to drive to Inverloch, and I thought it was going to be like a half-day journey. And I was there for morning tea. It was like I just forgot how small Victoria is after years of driving in Queensland. Or you're washing the dishes, and some idea comes to you. I bet that happens to you too. I'm not alone in that. The other thing is that gut feeling can be a warning. That tightening, in the tummy area is like a warning of, there's danger here. So always take notice of that. But receiving the spiritual guidance is only the first step. We must act on it. And that's often one step at a time, because guidance often just comes as the next step to do. And it takes faith to actually step out and do that first step and have the faith that the next step will then be obvious. But of course, we have our 12 spiritual powers, including faith, to help us put the guidance into action. And I saw on your newsletter that this month you're using this month for the power of strength. And strength is an important one. It's not just strength of body, it's strength of soul. It's strength in our thinking and our feeling. Mental strength is important, not to just get sucked into negative thoughts or, negative conversations. Boy, I have a challenge with being compassionate when I find myself stuck in a conversation with somebody who's really, really negative. And usually they're the very ones that don't like it when I say, well, it's a choice. And then there's soul is our thinking and our feelings. So it's strength in our emotions too. But one of the things I'd like to say about that is, if emotions are bringing up tears or, some old memories or something, then we need the strength to actually deal with those, not to just shove them down and sweep them under the carpet, but actually maybe journal. What are these tears about? What's this really about? What do I need to release here? So strength is physical, mental, emotional, and of course it's also spiritual. That, how are we going for time? That reminds me of the boy who lost his left arm in an accident, and his father was concerned about him because of his loss of strength, you know, with one arm gone, and he thought he might be the victim of bullying. So he thought it'd be a good idea to enroll his son in some judo classes. And the son was quite happy to do that and went along and met the judo master, and was surprised that, like 3 months of being there every week and practicing every day, he'd only been taught one move. And as he kept working on that one move, the judo master started to enroll him in tournaments. And the amazing thing was, he kept winning the tournaments. And he got to a higher and higher level, and he was still only using that one move. And sometimes if the opponent was bigger and stronger, it would take a while, but eventually his opponent would make a mistake or start to tire or whatever, and the boy would get the opportunity to use that one move that he'd been taught, and he would win. So finally he said to the judo master, "How come in all this time you've only ever taught me one move, and yet I've been winning all these tournaments?" And the judo master said, "Well, it's like this. That one move only has one defense. And that defense is to grab the opponent's left arm," which of course the boy didn't have. So even our weaknesses can turn into strengths. What we need to remember is we are threefold beings: spirit, soul, and body. Our gut feeling comes through the body. Our thoughts come through the soul. And as I said before, for me, that's a thought I didn't think myself. And our feelings also comes through the soul level. And we need to ask ourselves, does it feel right? Intuition comes through our feeling nature. And then on the spirit level, we need to know that we are one with divine intelligence. Intuition is our connecting link with omnipresence. And omnipresent intelligence knows more than we can know. Guidance often turns out to be right because of circumstances we could not predict through our human mind. So guidance and me today. Guidance comes in two ways. It comes when I ask for it, and it comes when I don't ask for it. It can be just a thought or even a whole talk. In counselling, it can be a question that comes to me to ask the person that I'm counselling, and that turns out to be the key to the whole situation. I believe every talk I give makes a difference in someone's life. Why else would Spirit have given me that topic? I also believe spiritual guidance is available within everyone, that for all of us, all we need to do is learn to listen and learn to ask. Let's do that now in a short time of meditation. So I invite you to turn within. I invite you to check out your physical body and let it be comfortable. Release any tension where it gathers in the, sometimes in the neck, in the hands, in the feet. And let the body be at ease and relaxed. Let the mind take some time out from its busy thinking and to just simply turn to that oneness within us, that oneness with spirit, and let the mind relax. And any feelings that may arise, just let them be. Be aware of the breath moving in and out of the lungs, not to change it, but simply to be aware of it. The very breath of spirit moving through us, breathing through us. And as Charles Fillmore said, thinking through us. And loving spirits, how important it is for us to know our oneness with your presence around and within us. To know that there is nowhere we can be where you are not. That your presence is with us in every situation. Because your presence is part of us. We are expressions of that presence. And so there is no situation that we can face, but that your guidance is there. And all we need to do is ask. And as Jesus said, ask and you will receive. And let's take a time of quiet where we each can turn to that presence and simply ask whatever situation arises for you. Simply ask for guidance, for at least the next step, for the highest good of ourselves and all concerned. In the silence. And loving Spirit, we give thanks not just for the guidance, but for the awareness that we have the strength to follow through on that guidance. And we have the faith to know that the guidance is for the highest good of all concerned. And for this awareness of our oneness with the omnipresence of Spirit, we give grateful thanks. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And so it is.
Thank you, Rhonda. We'll stay in this space because this song is actually part of the meditation.